Hey everyone, how's it going? Today is kind of a special day in America. It's the one day of the year when everything is about Iowa because of the Iowa caucuses. Oh man, politics, am I right? It's kind of funny. On the radio this morning, they were talking to a Trump voter in Iowa, and he was laying out the case of why he might not vote for Donald Trump a second time. First off, there was the trade wars, which devastated the price of his soybean crops. But then a second thing happened. Trump loosened the restrictions on ethanol, made it so gasoline companies didn't have to put as much ethanol into their gasoline anymore. So that also ruined the price of corn. And he was saying, come on, Trump, man, that's like a 1-2 punch, doing both things to me. Like, I could see you doing one or the other, but you kind of hit us twice here. Like, what's the deal, man? We support you. And I just remember thinking it kind of funny that, this farmer guy, he thinks that number one, that Trump actually is able to correlate those two things in his mind. That two of the things that Trump just rattled off one day, things that he agreed to, that they could have some sort of cumulative effect on a sector of the country. I mean, that's giving him way too much credit. And even if he did know that, the idea that he would actually give a shit, let me let you in on a secret. It's not farmers who are kissing his ass and bribing him when he sits there at Mar-a-Lago. He's not talking to farmers. He's talking to other rich people, other rich assholes like him, and they don't give a shit about farmers in Iowa. I mean, they just don't. Seriously. Look at this guy. You think he gives a shit about farmers? No, he doesn't. I don't think he knows what a farm is. Anyway, the Iowa caucuses are today. This is like the first round of voting in what will determine the Democratic nominee, who's going to face Trump. And the Iowa caucuses are really weird. It's not like normal voting where you just go in and vote. It's this bizarre, complicated process. It's something that only old people like. I mean, I kind of knew how they worked, but the rules were changed this year, and so I was reading this article in Slate magazine that kind of explained it. And I mean, look at this. There are two rounds to the process. For the first, Iowans gather at the corner of the room representing their top candidate. As that happens, supporters are allowed to try and convince undecided voters to join them. Eventually, all participants will have settled into one of the camps or decided to hold off as an undecided voter. Officials tally up the number of heads in each group. If a candidate has scored at least 15% of the room, that candidate is declared viable and made it to the second round. According to the new rules being implemented this year, the candidate supporters are now locked in and unable to change their vote. This rule also creates an incentive not to hold back and wait to see how the first round plays out. If more than 15% of the voters remain undecided, they become locked in with their undecided block as well. For the second round, those who committed to candidates who failed to reach that 15% threshold are released in a process known as realignment. They can choose to join an already viable candidate, try to win over other caucus goers to make the preferred candidate viable, or withdraw from the process entirely. I mean, it's crazy. It's a whole bunch of people milling about in gyms and libraries to try to elect the person they want. And you're asking yourself, like, if this is the first election you've ever paid attention to, you're probably asking yourself, like, why does this matter? And it's true. Mathematically, the Iowa caucuses don't matter that much. They shouldn't matter. But for some reason, they do. For whatever reason, it may just be luck. It may just be a fluke of how things work. But whoever wins Iowa typically goes on to win the nomination. Like, it was a real big deal back in 2008 when Obama beat Hillary in the Iowa caucuses. That was just kind of the first sign that Obama was a viable candidate, and like, hey, all these old white people in the heartland, like, they'll vote for Barack Obama, so why not him instead of Hillary Clinton, But of course, this year could be different. Maybe Bernie Sanders will win, or Elizabeth Warren will win, or Mike Bloomberg will win, and they may not go on to be the nominee. But still, it's pretty important. Now that I think about it, it's important, but it's not. You know why? Because I'm going to vote for whichever Democrat is nominated. It doesn't matter who it is. I don't even personally like Bernie Sanders, but if he wins, I'll vote for him. I'll vote for any of these people. I'll even vote for Mike Bloomberg, for the love of God. And you see, some people, they don't like that. They're like, no, I'm going to be discriminating. I'm not just going to vote for anybody. And when I say that I'm going to vote for any Democrat, I keep in mind that I think it's important to remember that I don't know everything. People want to think that there is one right answer, one correct answer, like this is a video game, and nominating that person is the path forward. It's the one right answer that there will ever be. But you know what? That's not true. Real life is very complicated. And see, I don't know. Maybe Bernie Sanders, maybe whatever change he could create is exactly what we need right now. I don't know. Mike Bloomberg, who the fuck knows? I don't like Mike Bloomberg, but what if he's like what Trump was sold to us as? What if Mike Bloomberg actually is a billionaire who's just been sitting back his whole life, learning how the system works, and he wants to improve it somewhat, and he has the knowledge and the money to do it? I mean, that's possible. And, it doesn't even matter, because no matter which one of these people is elected, it'll be different than how you think. It always is. For all I know, if Biden wins the presidency or if Bernie wins the presidency, they're both so old, either of them could drop dead or have to retire at any point, leaving their vice president in charge. Maybe that's the path forward, the thing that destiny has indicated. You don't know. Nobody knows. I think the stupidest thing in the world was back in 2016 when some people were saying, oh, I don't want to vote for Hillary because I know exactly what will happen if Hillary's president. I'm going to vote for Bernie, but if it's not Bernie, then I'm going to vote for Trump because that will be like some kind of change. And the people who did that, they weren't thinking 2 or 3 years down the road. They weren't thinking about Congress or the Supreme Court or anything. Just real life is very twisty, and you never know what's going to happen. Which means I'm going to vote for any Democrat who wins, because on some basic level, any Democrat will be better than Trump. Oh, hey, it's almost time for Birds of Prey to come out. It's kind of predictable, but of course I've seen a bunch of dude bro stuff on Twitter about how Birds of Prey it's going to fail because it's not selling tickets and it's super unpopular, and it's like this time the feminists have gone too far. It's kind of weird because at this point, like, there could be not a single actual person in America who really gives a crap about whether Birds of Prey fails or not. They just have to create that content just because it's expected. Some guy somewhere just falls out of bed and is like, what? There's no anti-Birds of Prey content on Twitter? Well, I guess I gotta write some up then. Gotta come up with some kind of content, or you're just leaving clicks on the table. I will basically go see any DC movie except Shazam. Did you know they're making a Shazam 2? Like, what the fuck? I didn't think Shazam was that popular. Like, DC, you are, like, just barely coherent these days, but that Shazam character, that just ruins everything. Anywho, I could sit here and babble on about politics for the whole rest of the night, but you don't really want to hear that. Ooh, cute drawing. As for my patrons, now that I've finished the first patron reward for this cycle, the next drawing will be coming up very, very shortly. Any of you could win. Even the guy who just went, oh, wow. But any patron I have could win, so stay tuned for that. Anywho, that's all I've got tonight. Let's see. Shit. Let me check my thing here. At this point, the Iowa caucus might have a winner, but no, not yet. The winner has not been announced yet. Who knows? I'm hoping it's Elizabeth Warren, but it could be any of these people. Even Bloomberg. Oh, hey, did you hear how Rush Limbaugh has cancer? That's pretty cool, I guess. You know, when it comes to all the assholes who are making our world a worse place, most of them are old. It's kind of interesting to think how in just about 10 years, a whole bunch of fucking people are going to be dead, and the world will be a better place. The Great Culling. Yeah.
Right here. Come on, boy. Come on, big boy. Hey,